How to find out what your dream future is. Let's find out. So, this is following on from a previous video that I did about cutting out the noise. And with this particular client, it's the same guy I was working with. And in this, I'm going to talk about how to find your dream. How to find what is that thing that you actually want to do and that actually you want to implement in your world and to bring about. Whether it's that dream kind of work, like that career, or the dream kind of hobby, or the place that you want to live, or the type of partner that you want to have, whatever it is. Let's talk about it right now. So, when you are inquiring with yourself about what your dream is, you need to be very attuned to your energy, your emotions, and your sense of whether you're uplifted or you feel like shit, right? So you begin by asking yourself, all right, if I was to, now there's many ways to actually figure out what that dream is, to figure out what that dream path is for you. And one of the books I would definitely recommend, I would absolutely recommend to everybody to read, is the book Mastery by Robert Greene. In it, it's a book about it's about developing your mastery of whatever it is that you're meant to do. And in it, there's a big focus on finding your life's task, right? Your life's task is kind of like almost like the reason why you're here. The good work that you're meant to put out, or your destiny, or the kind of thing that is built into you that you want to do and that will make you most happiest, right? That aligns best to your set of values. And in it, Robert talks about multiple ways of finding your life's task. So, life's task / dream, I may use them interchangeably, right? So, how to find your life's task? First of all, ask yourself, all right, is what you're doing right now uplifting you, or is it kind of pushing you into the ground and making you feel like shit every day? So whether it's a job or whether it's your, what you're doing every day, is it putting you into a state of flow, right? Because that's generally what people are looking for and craving for in their day-to-day. It's why people jump out of planes and go rock climbing without any ropes or anything like that, or other extreme sports. Is because they get into that sense of flow through extreme scenarios. They have to be in the present moment. And there's other people that go the opposite route, where they find meditation or just taking a nice stroll through nature. That's what gets them into flow, into this state of being present in the moment. That is what gives us like a long-term kind of joy and happiness about life. Now, ask yourself this: is the thing that you're currently doing, your current life setup, is it allowing you to be in that state of flow where, and flow is actually kind of like a state where you're in the zone, where, say for example, you're playing basketball and you don't have to think about anything. You just get the ball, you shoot it, it goes perfectly and it goes into the hoop, and you didn't even think about anything. Or you're skiing and the slopes just works perfectly. It's just that moment of like everything just kind of works just beautifully, and you're not thinking about anything. It just happens all in the moment, Or when you're meditating, it's that state when all the thoughts completely kind of disappear from your mind, when you're completely focused, or when you're reading a book and you're so entranced by the content of the book, it feels like you're almost inside the book. That's the feeling of presence. That's the feeling of being in the moment. So you have to ask yourself, are the things that you're currently doing putting you in the moment, in the zone, in the state of flow, in that flow state? And if it's not, that's probably what is actually making you feel like shit every day, right? And I know for a lot of people in different jobs, say for example, that they can just be sitting there, just feeling like, all day. I know that I do at times as well, where you're constantly distracted, on the phone, and just never truly present, and that feels like shit over time. So, but there may be activities that gets you into the flow. And so you want to pay close attention to what are those activities that actually gets you into that flow state, right? It may be talking to people. It may be going out for a walk with the dogs. It may be hanging around with animals, or in driving, or in doing extreme sports, or whatever it may be. Ask yourself, what are the things that get you into that state of flow? And it may not be just one thing. It may be multiple things, right? Say, for example, the things that I enjoy are dance. I like to shoot. I like to drive as well. And those things, I also like to fight, spa and stuff. Those things get me into the present moment. And I also love to talk and to communicate and to make videos like this. I feel that I'm in a flow state right now where I can just keep talking and talking and talking, not necessarily have to really think about it, have it all like clunky and everything. So, ask yourself, what is gonna put you in that flow state? Because that's a real indicator of your set of values, right? So, for example, for me, what I like about doing kind of like therapy with other people, or talking to other people, or dancing, is that those things that put me into flow, they touch upon a core value of mine, which is connection. I seek connection, and that's what I truly love and enjoy, and I want more of. And that puts me into the present moment. So connection is one of those like common threads that I find within the things that put me into a state of flow. And there's other things out there, say for example, action, taking action, like fast movement, say for example with the shooting and with the driving. It's, sometimes I like to just, it's fucking dangerous as hell, but like just bombing it down hills and just driving really fast. Like, I love that shit. It puts me, in a state of focus, or riding my bicycle very, very quickly down the side of mountains or whatever. It puts me in a state of flow of like, all right, I have to be completely focused, because if I fuck up, I'll probably be dead, right? Or horribly injured. And what I enjoy about that is the state is kind of like the action aspect, the fast-paced like nature of it, and also like almost like the danger aspect of it as well. But it feels good to have that sense of control in that moment, right? It feels like time slows down in a way, and that's the presence thing again. And that also ties into fighting. So there's the value of like action, like fast action, and like maintaining control under pressure. So that's like another value that I quite like. And so those activities that put me into flow touch upon that value. Now, to find like the bigger thing that will really put you into the state of flow, like whether it's a dream, line of work or whatever, inquire into all of these different fields that put you into flow. Find the common values that they touch upon within yourself, and then see if you can construct a path forward for yourself whereby you can touch upon those values as much as possible. Now, these don't all have to be done in the same kind of profession or job or whatever it is, but if it can, you're going to hit on something really fucking great, right? So for my client, he wanted to do like this traveling like therapy kind of thing, which touched upon the values of travel, of helping other people, and also wanted to work with youth as well, so kind of like family values as well. So it touched upon those 3 core values of his that he expressed in different ways throughout his life, kind of unknowingly, right? And when we were talking about this, how it touched upon those 3 things, he was actually fucking jumping with joy, going like, oh my god, this is like the thing. This is like actually what I wanted to do and what I want to direct my life towards. And I'm like, fuck yeah, cool. But it was in that moment where he figured out kind of like the common thread between the line of work that he was doing already, which was touching upon the value of helping other people. And he loved to travel from city to city on a semi-regular basis. He loved traveling, so he expressed that in that way. And the family values, he's married and he aspires to have a family at some point, and he loves spending time with other family members and all that, and also like a community aspect as well. He loves doing that. So there was that's how he expressed that value of like family and community connection, right? But when we got those core values, that the things that he was doing were touching upon, and we kind of combined them together and said, hey, this is the thing that you could possibly look into. He was like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. I feel so good about that. And in that moment, his energy just whoosh, like raised up. And it was just a very stark difference in seeing him talk about the future that he was kind of going on, which was like he was doing a couple different things. He was working his main job and having a couple hustles on the side. And when he was talking about it, of like developing it in the future, it felt to him like it was a slog. It was like just like kind of draining. It was just like, oh man, I gotta do the thing and I have to do it, and it kind of just put his energy down. But when we talked about the thing that actually combined that really touched upon his values in a combined fashion, that's when his energy just instantly flipped, shot up. So if you're kind of touching upon something that actually charges you up and actually brings you up and generates energy within you, you know that you're on the right path and touching upon those values, those core values. Now, I'm not saying that this is different from just like quick dopamine rushes. So, for example, if you say like, "Ooh, I love sugary food and fucking drinking lots of alcohol and doing drugs and stuff like that," like, no, like I'm talking about this is what puts you into the moment, not instant pleasures or escapism. Like, this is a long-term joy kind of thing in your life. So, and this is actually touching upon like your core values, right? The inner things that actually lights you up and grants you more energy. Some people, they love, hustling hard and just work and just like challenging themselves. That's like a core value to them, and they may find absolute joy in I don't know, being like a David Goggins type, where he's going out doing crazy shit every day, like just exercising like a crazy person, running 20 miles every day, like just really challenging yourself. That may be a value that you have inside of yourself. Or in being a family man, if you have that value, like being a good dad is a value for you. And so that also, being in touch with your values as well, those core values, by looking at the things that charge you up and also put you into that state of flow, you may also realize that, oh, wait a minute, maybe the path that I've been building towards, like, yes, it may get you money, or it may get you notoriety, or whatever like that. You may be building up towards this different path, but it doesn't build up towards what you actually value. And sometimes that just feels like, oh, this feels like shit. So you have to actually assess whether the path that you're going on is actually going to get you towards touching upon those values, which he realized was part of all the noise that was kind of like in his life. So this is my client I'm talking about. And in this, he realized, like, oh wait, actually the thing that I was kind of like putting as a number one priority of like getting this like side business like working on, and like he was kind of hustling and grinding on, he realized in that moment, in getting in touch with his values, he realized, actually no, I don't want that to be the main thing. I don't want to put all this energy and everything to it because it's actually draining. I want that to be a part of the bigger plan. And when he realized that, he was like, oh yeah, that actually feels good to have that as an element, not the whole thing, right? So if you're currently building towards something, there's probably what you're currently doing. If you're in an unhappy spot in your life, there's probably something that, like, in the things that you're doing, that you're choosing to do, of course, that is touching upon those values in some sort of way. Like, and it may just be scratching the surface. Say, for example, if you're working in a I don't know, making up an example here. If you're working in a hospital or something like that, and you're just, as a nurse, for example, and you're like, fuck, I hate this kind of work and all that. But there's kind of like little moments in there that are actually good. It's probably touching upon an inner value of, like, I want to help people. Okay, cool. Where else are you identifying this value that's being scratched here? Okay, take a look at maybe your other hobbies. Maybe you have interests in self-development podcasts, right? And because you're interested in how other people help people, right? And if you notice that kind of like little thread of values going through the different things that you're doing, then you're kind of touching upon, oh, this is actually what I want. But I've been doing this job, or I've been doing this hobby, or whatever. It's been kind of getting it and scratching the surface, but it's not getting the full thing, right? And so that's when people sometimes get into situations of, like, I really hate this position that I'm in, but for some reason I'm staying in it. And that some reason is probably the fact that it's touching upon that value in a way. So what you can do is, even if you are in a shitty situation, you can ask yourself, all right, why am I still here? Why am I still choosing to be here? I wouldn't be here if I didn't make the choice every day to be here, right? And sometimes it may just genuinely be like a, like just situation you're kind of forced into it, sure. But if it's a thing that you're choosing, you may actually be just scratching the surface and hitting upon something that you kind of enjoy, right? Boil down to that and figure out what that value is. And by looking at that, you'll get a much greater clarity in being able to construct your life around those values and cutting out the noise, cutting out the rest of the shit that actually kind of drains your energy. And the best thing about living in accordance with your values is that you're able to do a lot more work coming from you, from the heart, and because it's touching upon those values, they will naturally put you into a state of flow. So that's where, say for example, if you're an entrepreneur and you find an entrepreneurial outlet for yourself that aligns with all these values, that's when you get that, almost like that magic of being capable of working and working and working and working non-stop like a fucking machine and not have it feel like work at all, and it feels like fun, right? That's when you become kind of like fucking unstoppable in business as well, because the person that's doing the same thing as you, like in the same field or whatever, but they're doing it because it's just like money is involved, great, they'll get so far and they'll only put in so many hours and so much work and everything. They kind of have to push against themselves to actually get the thing done. Whereas you, on the other hand, if you're fueled by what you're doing, this is energy that's generating from doing the action. You don't have to kind of deplete your batteries in doing it. You're generating energy from it. And so therefore, you'll keep working and working and working, and just the hours will fly by, and you'll feel like, I haven't even done any fucking work, right? So, like, for example, 22 minutes have just already passed in this video, and, I just recorded another 20-minute video just beforehand, and I feel like I'm more energized than I was before I started the videos. So, because I'm getting into that flow state, because I'm touching on those values that I have, which is, connection, sharing, and talking about these things and helping other people, right? So, and making videos is one of those outlets that I've found works for me. So, find out what puts you into a state of flow. Find the common threads of values, like the common threads that tie these different activities together, and then find out what are the core values that those things are actually touching upon, and then construct your life around those values as much as you possibly can. And you may have to actually reconsider things of like, oh, have I been on the right direction to build towards these values, or have I not? Am I doing something that I actually kind of don't like on the most part, but am I just like touching upon a value and that's why I'm staying? Or do I need to cut back a lot of things because, what I actually value and want doesn't require this crazy big life? Like, for example, if you're like a family man and you want to just be a very good dad, I don't know, maybe working to get fucking, working to 18-hour days and everything like that every single day to make a bunch of money and everything may not be the most necessary thing for you. Who knows? If you're not seeing your kids, right? Like, you'll be doing all this work and you're not even touching upon the main value that you have, which is family. So what's the fucking point? So You may even need to scale back certain things in your life to actually go for the values. Or you may need to increase certain things to get towards the values. You may need to put in additional work to get towards the value of, that you have. Or you may need to overcome some fears. Like, for example, I had to overcome the fear of going out to learning to dance, to get that value, to really touch upon that value of connection that I get from dance. But I stuck through with it, through that fear, because I was really hitting upon that value. Same as with the videos. I was scared shitless to make videos at the start. Now it feels like flow, but I had to stick through with it and work through the fear of making these videos at the start, right? But I knew that in doing so, I was getting some sort of energy out of it, and I was sticking with it because I was hitting upon a value that was deep within me that I wasn't fully aware of at the time. And so another place where you can also search for these values and for these states of flow is back in your childhood, is back in your past. What were the things that you used to do as a child that pumped you up, that you used to love? Because as a child, we don't really have as many societal expectations or all these responsibilities and all these things that we do as adults, right? Because as we grow up, we kind of get molded and shaped by the people around us, by the expectations that we have on us. But as a kid, it's kind of like, I want to just do what's fun. I want to do what I like. I'm just drawn to doing this particular thing, whether it's playing with fucking Lego bricks or dancing around or, I don't know, riding my bicycle everywhere or whatever. I want to do it simply because it's fun and it's joyful and I get energy out of it. Look into your past. What were the things that you used to do that either you're continuing now, which is great, it's definitely a stronger indicator, but if you're not doing it now, it may be something that other people have told you, no, you shouldn't do that. No, you shouldn't be speaking up too much. No, you shouldn't be riding your bike or whatever like that. Or no, you shouldn't be doing that because that's not what we do as a family, or we do as in our society, or in our culture or whatever. But inquire with yourself, because the childhood pursuits are almost much more pure in that kind of way. It goes like, because the child isn't so kind of like fucked up with all this societal bullshit, they can just immediately access that which actually gives them energy, which gives them joy, and they just go and do it. And it's only later do we stop ourselves from doing it and choose to live fucking miserable lives, right? So go into your past and ask yourself some questions like, what did I used to do that I found so much joy out of? What did other people see that I constantly did, or that I was actually good at as a kid? You may even ask your parents and say, hey mom, hey dad, or hey, other people that were around me as a kid. What were some of the things that I used to do a lot and may have just stopped suddenly? Like, one of the things that I used to do as a kid was, like, when I was 3 years old, or 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, I would love to, I was told by my mother that I used to do all these little, hold little toasts or have little speeches at the dinner table when we're having dinner parties. And this is amongst the adults, right? Amongst the family, friends, and all that. I would used to, I don't know, get a glass or something, ding, 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 and just like say, oh, I have a toast, I want to say something. And I was very open and very bubbly and very much wanted to talk. And then something happened where I just kind of, and it was probably school or something like that, where I just completely stopped all of a sudden. And I think it was around the age of 5. At some point, I learned that it was not okay to express, and I then got very scared to open up and talk more and more. And so that, in a way, in my example there, I was touching upon a point of like public speaking, of sharing things with other people through spoken word. And funny enough, it's something that I'm doing right now in front of you. And so that was something where I was doing it, I was enjoying it, I was rather good at it. I was quite, for a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I was speaking quite alright, because I was around adults all the time, and I think I was just watching Discovery Channel so much that I kind of like picked up on language a little bit better. But then all of a sudden I stopped. And so that was a moment where I went like, okay, there's something there. There's something that I was touching upon there that I should investigate more. Or there was the creative aspect of me where I love to set up games with other kids around me, and we would do a lot of pretend games or a lot of creative kind of things. Or I would love to build things with my Lego blocks and construct things with all of my toys. And I had a very big fascination into like technological things and constructing things, deconstructing things. Like, I guess that's why I got into the engineering space at first, because it was like touching upon that problem-solving aspect. And then later I realized, going into therapy, I was able to touch upon that problem-solving aspect while also touching upon the communication and helping others value as well. And I find a lot more joy out of that. So yeah, look into your childhood, into those times when you were doing something and then things have stopped. That might be an indicator that you were pursuing something that was true to you, that was genuine to you, that built you up, that was part of your flow, but then something along the way told you, that's not okay, stop it. Look into that, investigate that, and see how it lines up with you today. Are you actually doing things that kind of like skirt around that thing and like kind of touches upon that value that you were really going for as a kid? And then so that's just another way of looking at it. There's also there's so many other ways that of looking at this thing. You can combine and mix and match values to produce something new, or to produce that new field that you want to go into. Say, for example, in the book Mastery, there was a woman named, I think, Dr. Matsuoko or something like that, but she invented a whole new field by combining two of her passions together, which were robotics and neuroscience. And this was back in like the 90s or something like that, or early 2000s. And she created an entirely new field called neurobotics, which is robots that are controlled by the brain through, like direct, what do you call it? Like interfacing, like when they put the little fucking electrodes on your head. And I think that was a way of like controlling like robotic hands and robotic prosthetics and legs and all sorts of stuff like that. She combined two entirely different fields of mastery, where she studied and got like a PhD in robotics, and then studied, and got a PhD in neuroscience, and then decided to combine those together, and then boom, she found out her field that she could get like even better mastery out of, that she could really that combined the different values that she had inside of her. So you can also mix and match different aspects of yourself to create something new. So there's a bunch more other topics, other ways of finding out what your dream is, of finding out where your dream goal, your path is. But it starts off by looking at your values. And your values are hinted by the things that you do that puts you into a state of flow, that puts you into the zone, that puts you into a state where you're not thinking about things, that you're just doing, and it just feels good. It feels like time is just rushing by. It just feels almost like you're in slow motion. Those are the indicators of the values that will build up towards your dream if you actually construct your life to touch upon those values as much as possible. So, read the book Mastery by Robert Greene. It's absolutely amazing, and I can't recommend it enough. It's been like life-changing for me, of how I view progression through life, and how I view values, and how I view how to kind of like move forward towards a life that I want. And so read the book Mastery and find out what your values are through an investigation of the things that give you the flow state, and then construct your life around those values. That's how you're going to find your dream. Thank you so much for listening. I know it's been a bit of a longer video, but that's how you do it. All right, I'd love to hear any opinions or any comments in the comment section. Let's get a conversation started, and let me know what your values and what your dream is. All right, comment it down in this comment section below. Get a conversation started, and I'll catch you on the next video.